First contact and discovery. The skies above Earth changed forever on a quiet Tuesday morning in April 2153. Strange lights appeared in the atmosphere, glowing with colors humans had never seen before. Not the aurora borealis or satellites, but vessels from beyond the stars. The Ithorians had arrived. They stood nearly 8 feet tall with iridescent skin that rippled with geometric patterns displaying their emotions. Their 4 eyes, 2 large primary ones and 2 smaller secondary ones, were set in elongated faces with small breathing slits instead of noses. Their slender bodies moved with fluid grace that seemed almost impossible given their height. News of first contact spread across Earth in minutes. People gathered in streets, looking up at the sky where 7 Ithorian ships hung in perfect formation above major cities. Markets closed, schools sent children home, religious leaders called for calm while military forces went on high alert. It was humanity's first encounter with an alien civilization, and no one knew what to expect. Commander Varys led the Ithorian delegation. She had studied developing worlds for over 30 Ithorian years, equivalent to 50 Earth years. But Earth fascinated her most. The small blue planet had appeared on their long-range scans just 5 years earlier, when humans began experimenting with quantum-fold energy that created ripples in space-time the Ithorian instruments could detect. "We come with peace and curiosity," Commander Varys's message translated across all Earth communication channels. "We wish to learn and share knowledge with your species." World leaders gathered in Geneva at the United Nations Global Summit. Dr. Elena Martinez, Earth's foremost xenoanthropologist, had been appointed as humanity's scientific liaison. At 42, her brilliant mind and calm demeanor made her the perfect candidate to interact with the aliens. Her dark hair was streaked with premature gray, a testament to years of academic battles, defending her controversial theories about possible alien influences on early human development. When the Ithorian delegation entered the summit hall, 6 aliens walked in perfect unison, their movements fluid and precise. Commander Varys led them, wearing what appeared to be a living garment that shifted and adjusted itself continuously. The meeting lasted 8 hours. The Ithorians explained they came from a star system 112 light-years away. They had mastered faster-than-light travel nearly 300 years ago and had peacefully contacted 23 other species before humans. "Your advancement puzzles us," Commander Varys said through her translator. "Most species take at least twice as long to reach your current technological state. You moved from basic flight to quantum physics in less than 2 centuries. Dr. Martinez smiled. "Humans are naturally curious and adaptable." Commander Varys's skin rippled with patterns of doubt. Perhaps there is more to your story than what appears on the surface. The next weeks brought cultural exchanges. Ithorian scientists visited Earth's major cities, while human representatives toured the Ithorian mothership. Both sides shared art, music, and basic scientific principles, carefully avoiding military or advanced technological secrets. Commander Varys spent much of her time in Earth's museums and libraries, particularly drawn to ancient history sections. She studied artifacts from civilizations long gone, comparing them to development patterns observed on other worlds. Something about human history didn't align with Ithorian predictions about species development. "Your Göbekli Tepe site," she said to Dr. Martinez as they toured the Museum of Anthropology in Mexico City. "The precision of the stonework seems beyond the capabilities of a hunter-gatherer society with primitive tools." Dr. Martinez nodded. "Many archaeologists have wondered the same thing. Some propose they had more advanced knowledge than we've given them credit for. And these myths of gods descending from the heavens?" Commander Varys asked, examining a Mayan codex. "Just stories," Dr. Martins replied. "Every culture has them." "Every culture on Earth," Commander Varys corrected. "But we have found similar stories on only 3 other worlds. All 3 have forgotten their true histories." Commander Varys's interest intensified when she discovered underwater structures near the coast of Japan. Stone formations that predated known civilization by thousands of years. and the precisely cut megalithic blocks in Peru that weighed tons yet fit together without mortar, and the strange electrical devices found in ancient Egyptian tombs. She requested access to more restricted archaeological sites. At first, Earth authorities hesitated, but curiosity overcame caution. They wanted to know what she suspected. In the remote islands of the South Pacific, Commander Veris examined recently discovered underwater ruins. Some showed markings that resembled no known Earth language, but bore striking similarities to symbols found on a dead world 60 light-years from Earth. These don't match any known human writing system, she told Dr. Martinez, who had accompanied her on the expedition. But they match fragments we found on Tellus IV, a planet abandoned thousands of years ago. When human scientists tested the stone using methods developed with Ithorian help, they made a startling discovery. The minerals contained trace elements not naturally occurring on Earth. Commander Veris's investigation intensified. She collected samples from ancient sites across the planet. She compared human DNA with biological records from other worlds. She analyzed old texts about lost civilizations and continents swallowed by great floods. 4 months after arrival, she requested a private meeting with the United Nations Security Council and Dr. Martinez. "Your world is not what it appears to be," Commander Veris said simply. "And your species may be far older than you believe." She projected images showing similarities between ancient Earth writing and symbols found on worlds scattered across a 200 light-year radius. She displayed genetic markers in human DNA that showed unusual patterns that appeared deliberately engineered rather than naturally evolved. "We believed Earth was new to the galactic community," Commander Veris said. "Now I suspect humans may once have been part of a much older civilization that spanned many worlds." Dr. Martinez stared at the evidence, her hands gripping the edge of the table. "That's impossible. We evolved here. We have the fossil record." "Do you?" Commander Veris asked softly. "Your fossil record shows primitive hominids, yes. But then there's an unusual acceleration in brain development and a sudden appearance of advanced cognitive abilities. Why do so many of your oldest myths speak of wars in the heavens? Why do your ancient texts mention technologies no primitive society could understand? Why does human DNA contain sequences that appear designed rather than evolved?" The room fell silent. Outside, people went about their daily lives, unaware that their understanding of human history might soon change forever. "There is one way to know for certain," Commander Veris said. "My research shows unusual energy readings emanating from an underwater location in the South Pacific, near the ruins we examined. If you will permit a joint expedition, we may find answers there." Dr. Martinez looked at her colleagues, then back at the alien. "If what you're suggesting is true, that humans have some forgotten connection to the stars, why don't we remember it?" Commander Veris's skin turned a deep indigo the humans had learned indicated grave concern. "That, Dr. Martinez, is what truly worries me. Because something must have happened to make your entire species forget." 3 days later, as scientists prepared for the underwater expedition, Commander Veris received a transmission from the Ithorian homeworld. Her leaders had reviewed her findings and upgraded Earth's status from newly discovered civilization to potential legacy world, their term for planets with connections to ancient spacefaring societies. The message ended with a warning: proceed with caution. If humans are indeed descendants of the stellar ancients, their awakening may trigger protocols established long before our recording of history. Commander Veris stared at the stars that night, wondering what secrets lay beneath Earth's oceans and buried in human DNA. Something had brought humans back to the stars after a very long absence, and she couldn't help wondering if something out there had been waiting for their return. The underwater research vessel descended slowly into the abyssal darkness. Inside, Dr. Martinez checked her equipment one last time. At her side, Commander Veris monitored the Ithorian scanning devices they'd brought aboard. "Energy readings are getting stronger," the alien reported. "Whatever's down there, it's active." Dr. Martinez frowned. "That's impossible. Nothing from ancient human civilizations would still be powered after thousands of years. Unless, Commander Varys said, it was designed to last that long. The vessel's lights illuminated the ocean floor, revealing what appeared to be a smooth metallic dome half buried in sediment. No coral or sea life grew on its surface. It remained pristine despite what must have been millennia underwater. "That's not natural," whispered Dr. Martinez. "And it's not from any known human civilization." "No," agreed Commander Varys. "At least, not from any human civilization you remember." The team deployed underwater drones to examine the structure. Near what appeared to be its base, they discovered an entrance, a perfectly circular opening with markings etched around its perimeter. "Those symbols," Dr. Martinez said, leaning forward, "they match the ones you showed us from Tellus IV." Commander Varys's skin flashed with patterns of confirmation. "Yes. And look at this one." She pointed to a particular symbol. "This appears on artifacts from 6 different worlds, all abandoned between 50,000 and 75,000 years ago." The expedition team created a temporary airlock that allowed them to enter the structure. Dr. Martinez, Commander Varys, and 3 other researchers, 2 human and 1 Ithorian, prepared to be the first to step inside. As they entered, lights activated automatically along the corridor walls, not electric bulbs, but some form of bioluminescence that flowed like liquid through transparent conduits. The air inside was perfectly breathable, despite tens of thousands of years of isolation. "How is this possible?" one of the human researchers asked. "Advanced environmental systems," Commander Varys replied. "We've seen similar technology on other legacy worlds, but never this well preserved." They moved deeper into the structure, discovering rooms filled with crystalline objects that seemed to function as storage devices. When Dr. Martinez approached one, it illuminated and projected 3-dimensional images into the air, diagrams of star systems, schematics for vessels that could travel between them, and beings that looked remarkably human working alongside creatures that were neither human nor Ithorian. "These are technical diagrams," said Commander Varys, studying the floating images, "for ships capable of traveling between stars using principles we're only beginning to understand." Dr. Martinez moved to another crystal column. This one activated to show a map of Earth as it would have looked 75,000 years ago, with different coastlines and climate zones. Then the image zoomed out to reveal Earth's solar system, then further to display a spiral arm of the galaxy. Dozens of stars lit up across the map, lines connecting them in a network. Text appeared in a flowing script Dr. Martinez had never seen before. "Can you read this?" she asked Commander Varys. The Ithorian's skin had turned pale, a sign of shock among her kind. "Some of it. These words are similar to ancient texts found on other legacy worlds. They translate roughly to Restoration Protocol and Seed worlds." Dr. Martinez pointed to Earth on the map. "Why is Earth labeled differently?" Commander Varys studied the symbols. "It marks Earth as Primary Restoration Site, Phase 3, not as the species' homeworld." The implications hit Dr. Martinez like a physical blow. If Earth wasn't humanity's original home. In the central chamber, they discovered a mural covering an entire wall. It depicted a history, humans living among the stars, building great cities on many worlds. Then a darkness spreading across the galaxy, ships fleeing, and finally, humans arriving on Earth, not as conquerors or explorers but shown kneeling, being returned to a simpler state. "They were running from something," Dr. Martinez said as she studied the mural. "And Earth was," Commander Varys suggested. "A hiding place," Dr. Martinez finished. "A vault. A place to preserve our species while something terrible passed." As she touched the mural, her fingers traced a symbol that seemed familiar somehow, though she knew she'd never seen it before. The entire chamber hummed in response, and for just a moment, Dr. Martinez felt a strange connection, as if something dormant inside her had begun to stir. She didn't know it yet, but humanity's forgotten legacy had just begun to awaken. Awakening and revelation. Dr. Elena Martinez woke screaming for the fifth night in a row. Her apartment in Geneva was dark except for the blue glow of her terminal. She sat up, breathing hard, trying to hold on to the dream before it slipped away. Strange symbols and equations floated in her mind, making perfect sense while she slept but fading quickly upon waking. She grabbed her tablet and quickly sketched what she remembered, curved lines and mathematical notations that somehow formed concepts in a language she had never learned but somehow understood in her dreams. Not dreams, she whispered to herself. Memories. It had started 2 weeks after the discovery of the underwater facility. Elena had monitored the research like everyone else, fascinated by what appeared to be an ancient alien outpost buried beneath the Pacific. As Earth's leading xenoanthropologist, she had been at the forefront of the investigation. Then the dreams began. With them came knowledge she couldn't possibly possess, understanding of propulsion systems that defied current physics, concepts for communication technologies that could span light years instantly, and most disturbing of all, memories of stars seen from worlds she had never visited. Elena wasn't alone. Around the globe, hundreds of people started experiencing similar phenomena. A farmer in Brazil who suddenly understood the crystalline storage devices, a high school teacher in Kenya who dreamed of building star engines, a child in Norway who drew detailed schematics for devices no one understood. They began calling themselves the Awakened, though no one knew who first used the term. Something inside them had stirred, triggered by the activation of the ancient facility. When Elena arrived at the research complex built around the underwater site, Commander Varys was waiting for her. The Athorian's skin displayed patterns of concern and curiosity. "You understand it, don't you?" Commander Varys asked as they entered the central chamber with its crystal computers and humming energy sources. Elena nodded, approaching a crystal column. This section describes energy conversion from quantum vacuum states. This part discusses navigation through what you might call slipped space, dimensions adjacent to our own where distance is compressed. Commander Varys exchanged glances with Dr. Kita, the project's director. "How is this possible?" he asked. "I think." Elena placed her hand on the crystal, which brightened at her touch. "It's in our genes, in all human genes. Some of us just have more active markers of whatever they put there." "They?" Commander Varys asked. "Our ancestors," Elena said simply, "the ones who came before." Within days, world governments created the Ancestral Technology Integration Program, gathering the awakened from across the globe minus 189 people from different countries, cultures, and backgrounds who all shared one thing. They could understand and interact with the ancient technology in ways no one else could. Elena quickly emerged as the strongest conduit. When she interfaced with the crystal systems, she could access deeper layers of information than the others. Through her, the first comprehensive translations of the ancient language became possible. Commander Varys worked closely with her, often spending entire days in the facility as Elena unraveled the secrets stored in the crystal matrices. Other Athorians observed with growing concern. "The humans are accessing military technology," warned Sentinel Merrick, an Athorian security officer assigned to the project. "Technology far beyond what their current civilization should possess." "They're not acquiring it," Commander Varys argued. "They're remembering it. There's a difference." "Is there?" Merrick's skin flashed red patterns, a sign of danger in Athorian communication. If they gain access to planetary defense systems or dimensional manipulation, does it matter whether they built it or merely remember how to build it? But Commander Varys had grown to respect the humans, especially Elena. She watched as the xenoanthropologist stood before the United Nations, explaining what she had learned from communing with the crystal archives. "Earth is not our first home," Elena told the assembled world leaders, her voice steady despite the weight of her words. "Approximately 75,000 years ago, humans lived across many star systems. We were an advanced civilization with technology that could manipulate the fundamental forces of reality." Murmurs spread through the assembly as translators relayed her words in dozens of languages. Then something happened, Elena continued. The archives call it the Void Cascade, a wave of destruction moving through the galaxy, consuming everything it touched. Not a natural phenomenon, but something created, perhaps as a weapon that escaped control. She displayed holographic images extracted from the crystal memories. Beautiful cities on distant worlds falling into darkness, ships fleeing ahead of an expanding shadow. Our ancestors knew they couldn't stop it completely, so they created Project Genesis, a last resort to preserve humanity. They selected Earth, a planet they had seeded with life millions of years earlier, but never fully colonized, as a sanctuary. Elena explained how the ancient humans had made the difficult choice to regress their own species, using genetic engineering to simplify human biology, removing certain advanced capabilities and inserting dormant sequences that could be activated generations later when the danger had passed. They erased their own memories, she said. They buried their technology in protected vaults around the planet, and they waited for the day when we would be ready to remember who we truly are. As Elena spoke, more facilities were being discovered worldwide. Beneath the ice in Antarctica, deep in the Amazon rainforest, under the Gobi Desert, and in the Mariana Trench. All contained the same advanced technology, all approximately the same age, all beginning to power up as if responding to some silent signal. The Athorian High Council sent urgent messages to Commander Varys. This discovery contradicted their understanding of galactic history. No records existed of an advanced human civilization 75,000 years ago. If humans had once been a spacefaring species, what happened to them? And why was all evidence of their existence missing from every alien archive? There's something your people aren't telling us, Elena said to Commander Varys one evening as they reviewed new findings. You know more about this void cascade than you're admitting. Commander Varys's skin patterns shifted to show reluctance, then resignation. There are myths among the eldest Athorian families, stories of a time before records, when a great darkness swept the stars. We dismissed them as legends until now. And? Elena pressed. The legends speak of those who fought the darkness. They called them the Guardians of Light. Your ancestral language has symbols that match our descriptions of these guardians. Elena's heart raced. Are you saying my ancestors were these guardians? I'm saying, Commander Varys replied carefully, that if the void cascade is real, and if it's returning as your archives warn, then humanity may have been preserved for a purpose greater than mere survival. That night, as research teams around the world continued to study the ancient facilities, a signal was detected emanating from deep space, a pulse of energy with patterns matching those found in the crystal archives. The signal was coming from the direction of the galactic core, 30,000 light-years away, and it was accelerating toward Earth. Within hours, all the ancient facilities activated fully, crystal systems glowing with intense light, energy readings spiking to levels that threatened to overload modern monitoring equipment. The remaining dormant genetic sequences in human DNA began to activate worldwide. Children woke speaking languages their parents couldn't understand. Ordinary people suddenly demonstrated telekinetic abilities. Engineers found themselves instinctively understanding principles that had eluded humanity's greatest minds. In the Antarctic facility, Elena stood before the largest crystal column, now pulsing with blinding light. The world's governments had gathered via emergency conference as the ancient defense systems prepared for activation. It's still out there, Elena told them. Her voice changed somehow, deeper with the weight of ancestral memory now fully awakened within her. The void cascade was never destroyed, only contained. Our ancestors knew it would eventually break free. They seeded worlds across the galaxy with fragments of humanity, preserving different aspects of our knowledge and abilities. But Earth was always meant to be the restoration point, the place where humanity would be reborn when the time came. What are you saying? Asked the Secretary General of the United Nations. I'm saying the void cascade is returning, and Earth is about to remember its true purpose. Elena placed her palm against the crystal, which responded by projecting a massive hologram of the galaxy, with Earth highlighted at the center of an intricate network of worlds. We were never refugees. We were guardians, placed in dormancy until needed again. Commander Varys stepped forward. My people will stand with yours if this threat is real. But you must understand, the technology you're awakening could destroy worlds if misused. Elena turned to the Ithorian, her eyes now glowing with the same light as the crystals. It wasn't meant to destroy worlds, Commander. It was meant to save them. As she spoke, the ancient facilities around the globe synchronized, projecting energy beams into space that converged at a point beyond Earth's moon. A dimensional gateway began to form, a swirling vortex of light and energy. What have you done? Commander Varys whispered. Not me, Elena replied. Our ancestors. They built the gate before they went into hiding. They knew the void cascade would return, and they prepared the way for those who would stand against it. Through the dimensional gateway, ships began to emerge, vessels of impossible design, constructed of materials that seemed to phase between solid matter and pure energy. They moved with grace and precision no human or Ithorian craft could match. The Guardians, Commander Varys breathed, recognition flickering in her patterns. They're real. They never left, Elena said. They just waited, scattered across 100 worlds, preserved in 100 forms, until the time came to reunite. Across Earth, millions of humans felt a calling, a pull toward something greater than themselves. The dormant genetic programming activated fully, restoring abilities and knowledge buried for millennia. Not everyone was affected equally. Some remained as they were, while others transformed, their minds expanding to encompass understanding beyond current human comprehension. 3 days later, as the signal from deep space grew stronger, Elena stood before the United Council of Earth and the assembled representatives of 17 alien species who had arrived in response to the Ithorian call. 75,000 years ago, our ancestors faced a choice, she told them. They could fight a war they knew they couldn't win, or they could preserve what mattered most, not just our bodies, but our purpose. They chose to hide in plain sight, to become what the void would overlook. They became us, simple, primitive, forgetting our power until the day it would be needed again. She gestured to the massive view screen showing the fleet of Guardian ships now in orbit around Earth. We are the inheritors of their legacy, and we invite all who would stand against the darkness to join us. The void cascade sought to devour all life, all consciousness. It failed then, and with your help, it will fail now. Commander Varys stepped forward, her skin displaying the formal patterns of an Ithorian oath. The Ithorian conclave pledges its support to Earth and the Guardians. We will stand with humanity against the void. One by one, representatives of other species, some known to Earth, others who had arrived only hours before, stepped forward to make similar pledges. A coalition was forming, uniting species that had never before worked together. As they spoke, Elena felt the presence of something vast and ancient stirring within the collective consciousness of humanity. Knowledge and purpose that had been fragmented and hidden for millennia now flowing back together, like tributaries rejoining a mighty river. The signal from deep space resolved into a massive cloud of darkness, moving toward the outer reaches of the solar system. The leading edge of the void cascade, exactly as the ancient archives had predicted. In homes and schools and workplaces across the planet, humans looked up at the sky with new understanding. They were not simply an isolated species on a small blue world. They were the inheritors of a legacy that spanned the stars, guardians who had slept too long, but were now finally awaking. And as the first tendrils of darkness reached the outer planets, humanity remembered its purpose. The ancient defenses activated, technology beyond modern understanding coming to life after 75,000 years of dormancy. The Guardian ships moved into formation, joined by vessels from a dozen alien species. Together they formed a barrier between Earth and the approaching void. Elena stood on the bridge of the command ship, Commander Varys at her side. The Ithorian had insisted on joining the front line despite her government's objections. "Your people always knew, didn't they?" Elena asked quietly as they watched the darkness approach. At some level, the Ithorians remembered the Guardians. "Perhaps," Commander Varys acknowledged, "just as your people remembered, in your myths and legends, in the stories you told of heroes fighting darkness." Elena nodded, placing her hand on the crystalline control panel. It responded to her touch, the ship's systems fully integrating with her awakened consciousness. "It's time," she said, both to Commander Varys and to humanity watching from Earth below. "Time to remember who we really are." As the void engulfed the first line of defense, the Guardian ships began to glow with a light that defied physical explanation. Not reflection or emission, but something deeper, as if reality itself were being reshaped by their presence. The light spread from ship to ship, connecting them in a vast network that extended back to Earth and the ancient facilities now fully awakened. The void cascade had consumed countless worlds over eons, but it had never again encountered the power that had nearly destroyed it 75,000 years before. It had never again faced the Guardians of Light. Until now. On Earth, humans looked up at the battle unfolding beyond their atmosphere, no longer strangers to the cosmos, but remembering, finally, their place among the stars. They were not young, as the Ithorians had first believed. They were ancient, awakened from a long sleep, and ready to reclaim their legacy as protectors of life throughout the galaxy. The war had begun again, but this time, humanity would not fight alone. And this time, they would not forget who they were.